I'm gonna say it. No one can stop me. If I have to die on this hill, then so be it. Because I'm gonna say what no one else will. I like having hot people in my video games. Please clap. I know that this might end my extremely profitable and highly regarded YouTube career, but as somebody who is deeply bisexual and terminally down bad, this is the hill that I was born to die on. I have heard claims that dubious forces are attempting to change the arrangement of my beautiful pixels, and even though I haven't bothered to do any real research into what these claims are actually referring to, I am outraged at this prospect. Over time, we have only gotten more and more hot people of intense variety and flavor, illustrating the absolute magnitude that we are able to create, not only based off of people on real life, but fictional characters that could only exist because we have reached true artistic enlightenment. God, I love tall monster women. Our representations of hotness have only grown more and more sophisticated over time. We have pushed beyond the plain pedestrian buff muscle man and the boring sex doll who has more tits than personality. We've learned how to use things like clothing, accessories, grooming, body shape, skin tone, ethnicities, age, disability, gender expression, you name it, to make endless varieties of hot people for me to thirst over. In fact, I hear that this channel's subscribers has some of the most thirstable people imaginable. And obviously, when all of these hot people have hot personalities, this character doesn't just make me down bad, but makes me want to be down bad as their husband. And that's why today I'm going to be talking about how it's good for video game characters to be hot, nay, that it's important for video game characters to be hot, because I could never live with myself if this battle was lost without my participation. To the front lines. Hot people are good. Hot people good. That is my hot take of the day. I mean, let's be honest here. Who doesn't like to look at hot people? It's like my favorite pastime. I feel like half the stuff that I watch and play are basically because I saw someone hot in it. I mean, that's the entire reason why I just started playing Star Rail again. I saw Luocha and I was like, oh, I guess I'm back. Oh, and I did get him, by the way. Thank you for asking. Me, him, and Dr. Ratio are a very happy throuple. The absolute best thing about hot people is that there is hot people for everyone. But mostly me, if we're being honest here. As I said before, a character's design is literally only limited by the imagination of the people making it. And as more and more people of more and more backgrounds have entered the game industry, the buffet of hotness has increased dramatically. Remember that hotness is a tool, a means for an artist to take a feature or an element that they want to accentuate and then combine them in a way that is dope as hell and significantly cooler than going for the same bottom-of-the-barrel techniques, which is giving them some big bazongas and slapping them in some revealing clothes. Make no mistake, I am a bazonga enjoyer, but I don't look to video games for that. I know how to make use of the internet. I may be terminally down bad, but I have self-respect. I have standards, you know. The usual gruff, muscled white guy is far from worth my time now that I know the true majesty that we are capable of creating. Like everyone from Hades. When I was playing this game and when a new character came on screen, every single time a new character popped up, my first reaction was, oh no, they're hot. I mean, Jesus Christ, the attention to detail, the motifs on all of their characters with these thematic and cultural tie-ins to their design, the variety of faces and skin tones and clothing and adornments, the use of posing and expression to give personality, accentuate that with a fantastic character dialogue, and...
Ever stubborn, aren't you? Maybe my whip might make you reconsider whatever it is that you're attempting here.
My God, I am in trouble. Even for the most risque god, Aphrodite is bare-ass naked, but the clever use of hair, adornments, and a pose that is alluring but not explicit is a fantastic way to illustrate her entire spiel without being overtly sexualized. It's the same deal with Dionysus. I mean, man's barely got anything on, and between that and the posing, I could sure go for a tall glass of wine. See, this game is the right kind of spice. I absolutely salute the Hades team for that. Okay, I am dialing it back for my own good. Another great thing that Hotness is fantastic at doing is re-examining ideals around heteronormative and traditional representations of gender and sexuality. I mean, even showing cis people who may or may not have features that are traditionally feminine or traditionally masculine can really help a lot of people feel more secure in how they look. There's no right or wrong way to be a man or a woman or anything in between, despite some people desperately trying to indicate that. I love it when this happens because I think it's a fantastic way to help a lot of people overcome any sort of body issues that they may have. And also, for me personally, I like my men like I like my women, looking like the other gender. I Was a Teenage Exocolonist has an absolutely wonderful, beautiful palette of incredibly designed characters. The game's cast is such a tremendous rainbow, quite literally, of this futuristic, queer, non-heteronormative group of people. There's such incredible work on clothing and armor, hair, body types, ethnicities, expression, all with incredibly detailed personalities that are probably going to get violently murdered. Trust me, this is a wild game and is not at all what it sounds like, despite the gay stuff. It's super gay, but it's some real shit. I highly recommend it. Age and disability can also be shown by Hotness in an entirely different light than what people might be used to thinking of. I want to be very clear here. I'm not implying that attractiveness is the only way to validate a person who is older or with a disability, but showing a cool, well-designed character whose age or disability is not shown in a tokenized trope or pitied light can be a really cool way to highlight those things in a more normalizing manner. Like him. He has one eye. And he is perfectly normal, despite his depth perception oftentimes making it so he's really, really bad at catching his toys. He's a perfectly normal, really annoying boy who likes to lick my toes. Ballistic and Mad Maggie from Apex Legends are some absolutely bad bitches. Corvo Atano and Delilah Copperspoon from Dishonored 2 are also really good examples of mid to old characters that look fucking cool as hell. Also, Celine from Returnal and the President from the Cyberpunk DLC are baddies, and I'm not just saying that because I'm in my MILF era. Sir, how do you respond to the accusations that you have severely impacted the pricing of the housing market by buying all sorts of consumer homes for pure investment purposes? God, the story just gets worse. Honestly, it kind of feels like anybody over 35 is kind of counted in the old category, but I mean, hey, it's progress from 25 at least. In terms of things like disability, Cove Holden from Our Life, Beginnings and Always is a fantastic non-stereotyped version of an autistic person. I want him to date me. Joker from Mass Effect is a total cutie and does not let his lack of mobility keep him from being the best gosh danged pilot in the galaxy. There's also lots of really cool examples of people who are missing body parts, like my cats. Bear from Final Fantasy, Billy Lurk from Dishonored, Junkrat is a good one, Biken from Guilty Gear, and yes, I'm aware Biken has some questionable design choices, but the grapple arm, pretty sick. Senua from Hellblade looks fantastic, while she is absolutely losing her mind with an unbelievable representation of psychotic illness. And the boat from Dredge is a mute, but god damn. And honestly, probably my favorite part of this whole Hotness thing getting more diverse is the drip. Oh my god. The fashion has gotten off the chain. People still say that, right? off the chain. That's like a thing. There are so many games who have worked so much style and flavor into all of the outfits that every character has. And yes, I am including Nier Automata in this because the fashion for not just 2B, but for everybody is absolutely crazy. It's fantastic. People can say whatever they want about the game. 2B's ass may be out, but you know what? The antagonists look like this. So you know what? I'm giving them a pass. We truly live in a golden age. There have been so many games with just incredibly hot characters. Hades, Coral Island, Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 4, Baldur's Gate 3, Street Fighter 6, Grand Blue Fantasy Rising Versus, Guilty Gear Strive, Prey 2017, Control, Cyberpunk 2077, Signalis, Thirsty Suitors, Midnight Suns, Lies of P, Diablo 4, Apex Legends, the Jedi games, the Horizon games. I am losing my mind with the sheer amount of hot people. Gender expression, sexuality, body types and face variety, personality, fashion sense, all done with such incredible detail and care by tremendously talented and probably horny people without overly relying on the same boring tropes of revealing clothes and big titties. I cannot understate how truly blessed we are. Obviously, things aren't perfect, but I'll let Guilty Gear have Baikon's massive bazongas since they gave me Testament. I'm going to call it even. All of these incredible examples are why I cannot allow us to fall back to such pedestrian tastes, because surely other people must be angry for the same reason that I am, right? 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 Hold on, my producer's trying to tell me something. What do you mean that's not what people are talking about? I don't understand. And what do they mean by trying to uglify video game characters? Yeah, no, send it to me. I'll watch. Apparently, I'm talking about the wrong thing. So we'll see what people are angry about, because I have no idea. Just gonna watch this video here.
Male gaze is simply men being attracted to women, that totally normal function of God's
design. So here, I just picked two different pictures of Mary Jane. Here I had her, the run of the comics is irrelevant if they're good or not. This is just the one that she looks really pretty in, and is clearly intended
to be conventionally beautiful toward
what they would call the male gaze. Now, I'm so sick and tired of the demonization of the male gaze, because men being attracted to women is a part of God's design.
And they want to demonize that. Meanwhile,
they're pandering to the trans gaze, as you can see here, and people can deny it all they, oh no, it's just about making her uglier because of insecure women. It's not about trying to appease transgender people. It's both. Okay, let's be real. It's both. And I think that,
as you can see demonstrated, they didn't
make somebody who blatantly looks like a woman who just is ugly. They masculinized her. They gave her body a lot more of an androgynous build. Her clothes are not showing her shape. So this is very much an attempt to defeminize her. Okay? Notice like the lack of feminine features, makeup.
Well, that's not what I expected. So this is the part of the video after my funny montage where I basically say how unhinged from reality these people are, how they're bigoted, and then I debunk all of the weird, sexist, racist, transphobic claims that everyone is making, and how I'm the one who has the objectively correct opinion on the situation. And then I say a bunch of very obvious things like, you don't need to be able to whack off to every video game woman. I mean, I am a bisexual anomaly. I am far from the norm. If you get upset over not finding a video game woman whack-offable and openly call them ugly or make weird edits like this one or harass the models that they're based off of or make collages and comparisons with extremely cherry-picked screenshots to verify a made-up point, that is just unhinged behavior. Anybody with 2 brain cells understands how context works. And these extremely cherry-picked images that do not accurately represent the character are fooling literally nobody beyond those who just want their opinion validated. I also say more things like, if you want characters, regardless of context, always fitting a specific subset of beauty standards literally all of the time, it is impossible to achieve not only in real life, but in any universe where there is more than one person. Also, if you think there is some mysterious agenda behind corrupting Western studios with things like feminism, wokeness, whatever you want to call it, instead of thinking that maybe people might just want to make more than 2 types of characters, I don't know what to tell you. However, as is the nature of almost all videos like this, the people who probably should be sticking around to listening to what I have to say have already probably left a dislike and a comment and have gone their merry way, while people who already agree with me just want the hot man in their computer screen to validate their opinions. Hashtag relatable. Hashtag boy. Hashtag boy. It's the exact same reason why people with those opinions watch their videos and share their posts, because they're not interested in having their preconceptions of all these spooky words changed. They're just interested in being validated in their own opinions that Western developers have been infected by whatever boogeyman of the week they've chosen. And this is something that I, surprisingly enough, in my infinite wisdom, do not have a remedy for. Particularly when so many folks are just straight up not interested in listening to people with opposing viewpoints. Or even just doing basic fact checking, let alone believing the information that they discover when it doesn't already align with their preconceived worldview. I mean, that video of the grifter lady talking about how the male gaze is just men being attracted to women is just so effortlessly wrong in a way that takes 2 seconds to disprove. It's about women being portrayed and treated solely as sexual objects in media for the gaze of the straight guy. And considering, I don't know, the world, it sure seems likely that that is something that's real. A super obvious example of this in video games is Bayonetta, and while I love her character design, I really don't love things like this.
Let's dance, boys.
Her design is so cool. You did not need to have her get naked and literally address the boys while the camera basically flies up her asshole. This adds nothing. Hotness and sexualization are 2 separate things, and I do not understand why some people have such a hard time understanding that. Once again, there are so many websites that are abundant in tits and ass, and I really do not understand why people want this in a video game with 0 contextual relevance. And that's one of the big questions that I really don't see people bring up enough about this thing, is why do so many people not seem to care about the context? I don't understand why people just want characters to be hotter or wearing sexy clothes. You should not be wearing sexy clothes. That would be weird. I don't understand why we would want this to be added completely irrelevant of any context within the game, like setting or character personality, and even elements outside of the game, like the sheer vastness of human variety that we can pull off when we design these hot people. There are websites purposely designed for this. Why do you look to this in video games? The thing that I very much want to hammer down is people like me do not want hotness and sexiness to go away. We just want it to be contextually relevant for the game at hand. That's why so many people love games like Baldur's Gate 3. That's why I love Baldur's Gate 3, is because there were so many different amazingly hot looking people in some really cool revealing clothes once you got to the cool, fun sex scenes that were extremely character specific and very detailed that fit naturally within the narrative. Alternatively, if the game is just horny, I want them to apply that camp and sexiness to everybody, not just the women. We believe in gender equality here on this YouTube channel. Oh, and just to clear things up, by the way, feminine women, masculine men, poggers. Great. Fantastic. I know plenty of them. I've dated plenty of them. Beautiful. But when that's all you want, let alone the very specific subset of that subset that has won an extremely unrealistic genetic lottery, you're only setting yourself up for disappointment in games and in real life. Too many people try to hold themselves to these unrealistic standards in real life, and it is damaging. I mean, look at all the weird looks maxing shit that is just rebranded body image problems. It's incredibly sad to watch people go down these rabbit holes and just a continuation of trying to reinforce these harmful stereotypes that people like me have been trying to break out of their entire lives. I mean, I've always struggled with being underweight. Even at my peak, I was barely in the threshold, and I think it's pretty cool to see, you know, cool twinks like me in video games. Stop going on these forums. Go make art, join a book club, do something else to make you feel good about who you are. And if you want to change, change out of a place of love and health, not doomerism. Also experiment with your sense of fashion, style, and gender. That'll help a lot of people, trust me. I've made it very clear at this point that I love hot people. I am a degenerate, but I am a light side degenerate, whereas all these other people are dark side degenerates. I want hotness everywhere for everybody in so many different flavors and varieties for all sorts of representations of real people and not real people. The other people also want hotness everywhere, but within this very constrictive, unhealthy standard that, let's be honest here, most of them are pretty far from themselves. And that's fine, because those standards are stupid. They're dumb and they do nobody any good. The thing that I desperately want to communicate here is that I want hotness. I just want it done in context with more flavor. Is that so much to ask? As I illustrated, we have so much to work with from both reality and imagination. And if something like this is really all your imagination can come up with, if this is the absolute peak, that's kind of sad. So much of what I try to say is immediately discounted purely because some people will hear the word feminist, some people will hear the word diversity and have this primal guttural reaction against it because they have this twisted idea of how it's supposed to hurt men, about how it's supposed to uglify women, despite it being something that they have literally never seriously engaged with. They haven't actually listened to people who talk about this. They haven't read the literature, tried to engage with the concepts, tried to understand from a neutral standpoint where this might be coming from. Particularly the fact that things like diversity and feminism are really good for white men too, because it helps break down these structures that not only hold women and people of color hostage, but straight men too, to these ridiculous, unhealthy standards. And women grifters like the one I was playing, who honestly just sound really bored and disinterested of the words that are coming out of her own mouth.
You know, the run of the comics is irrelevant if they're good or not. This is just the one that she looks really pretty in, and is clearly intended to be conventionally beautiful toward what they would call the male gaze. Now, I'm so sick and tired of the demonization of the male gaze, because men being attracted to women is a part of God's design.
Who say things like women need to wear makeup, women can't have a big jaw, that they need to be curvy, are literally only reinforcing these standards that are actively harmful to people like them. People like her can ultimately believe whatever they want, even though it's incredibly obvious to see that she's just bullshitting on the spot with random words. As a viewer, I would be a little skeptical of somebody who very clearly has some issues with how people are supposed to perceive their gender. Or, and this is probably worse, peddle conspiracy theories about an even more marginalized group to make money off of hateful men on the internet. But some of the women grifters appear to take some issues with some of the things that these very hateful men are saying. However, instead of changing their views, they play the both sides card to appear like some enlightened centrist, because they can't completely change their viewpoints or they would lose their source of income. I do not have pity for these people. They have dug their own grave and they are going to sleep in it. Getting out of the really unfortunate women grifters tangent, I do want to find ways to get people out of this mode of thinking. I try to do it authentically, and I haven't succeeded yet because delivery and writing is hard and I am a unfortunately sassy bitch. But I am hoping that people can see that I'm at least trying to give a legitimate, honest view of my opinion and why I think these negative, harmful perceptions of everybody just makes your life suck. Life is so much easier when you're not this walking mass of paranoia and anger around trying to look at people and just constantly looks max them. And that's why I said all those obvious points, because I do want to change people. And who knows, I could be some of these people's first exposure to actual opposing viewpoints. And I hope they take some of my snideness with stride, because let's be fair here, people on the other side say way worse things about people like me and about these women in video games than I've said about them. I want to deliver these hopefully helpful opinions and breakdowns in a way that is, if I'm gonna be honest, still a little bit condescending, but authentic, and hopefully in a clarifying way. Because I'm exactly like you. I love bazongas. I love revealing clothes. I love big muscles. I love a fat badonk. But I love it with context. I love it in the right place, in the right time, that enhances the moment and doesn't make me go, why is this here? And so does literally everybody else. Just like you. You love big badonks, don't you? You're a badonk appreciator, just like your old man. Oh yeah, and real quick, I just have to point out that that one picture where they were showing ScarJo with and without makeup to illustrate good versus bad characters or whatever is so weird, because she's still super hot. She's just not wearing makeup. I'm really trying my hardest to not be condescending here, but when people share images like this, it is a huge self-report that you have not woken up next to a woman in the morning. Like, be careful with stuff like this. I really hope we all had fun today, and now I'm gonna go spend time with my husbands. Fare thee well. Oh, and no, I will not be talking about Stellar Blade, because it is beneath me. Goodbye.